I'm in my room again. She couldn't sleep, and so she's out there watching TV and still is snoozing up a storm. Like, she, and I completely get, like, why she keeps waking up, why she's so sore. Like, I can't even believe how sore I am again. Like, oh my God. And I've seen other people talking about it on TikTok about the soreness in their muscles and everything. It's so crazy. And the person I saw talking about this muscle stuff or whatever was talking about being ascension symptoms, which I don't know. I swear to God. I mean, it could be, I just don't even know anymore. Like, all this stuff is so crazy. Um, there was, there was like a bunch of stuff. Like, there's, James O'Keefe. He, this video is just going crazy. Like, so many people are sharing it because it's so absurd. Like, this stuff, it just gets so absurd. So, what he does is he, Project Veritas, that he will, what is that called? Because it is, he sneakily gets this information, like it has hidden cameras, gets these things set up, and then gets these people to expose all of this stuff. And so much with the farms. And so this one is even with the P guy, one of the guys from the P. And so he, the PF, and then, so, I don't know. I don't know if this guy was there on a legit date and they had word of it, or if they set up a fake date so that they could get more information. But at some point, the guy is confronted by James. And so then you got camera people all scurrying around. Like, then they lock him into the restaurant. The guy starts freaking out and he is yelling. There starts being a physical altercation. And the guy is totally like whiny too. Like, oh, you can't have me on camera. You can't have me on camera. Dude, I guess you shouldn't be a fucking criminal. I don't know what to tell you. Like, the criminals will be exposed. That's what we're in right now. The exposing of the criminal element on this planet. So if you don't care about humanity, you're going to be shown. It's going to be shown to the world. And it's so funny too, because I keep seeing more people. Because this one creator, I've talked about her before, but she was saying, like, I don't really even know where I fit in, because the spiritual, she said, it's a very strange algorithm to be considered in that group, because that group is so strange. And she was talking about, that, a lot of them, they are talking about information they don't know about, they don't understand it, they're talking way beyond their level, and all sorts of things. Like, I've been saying this. And then she said that not only that, but you go on and you see, like, some of the ones with the biggest amount of followers are just saying just a bunch of nonsense, just non-productive stuff, just vague, and, that is what I have been saying. But that's all part of the exposing too, because it's like this super shallow, superficial spirituality. And then plus all of the stuff that keeps going on, because those people who are in that super spirit group or whatever with the love and light, and just ignore everything in the world and focus on the light and pretend like, where's your compassion? Where's your empathy? Where's your awareness? Like those are not the teachings of a spirit. I mean, a spirit, you want to be connected. Like, I believe it is about getting yourself into a more natural state. Like a deer, I always reference a deer, but I don't know, it comes to my mind. But a deer, like, they aren't going out into the rest of the herd and being concerned about what happened last night or what they're wearing right now or if their hair looks okay, They're just experiencing. And I think that is what we're supposed to get to, because the worrying about all of that stuff is putting your mind somewhere else that is not productive to your own state of being. So when you're worrying about this or thinking about that, it's a distraction. So you're not being your whole self. You're not being your true self. And so that is, that's where that becomes, like a problem. And I can just see, like, some of this stuff I can't even explain to the depth that I see it. Like, I just don't even know how to explain it to the depths I see it. I see how things are all connected, and I see how they all work and stuff like that. And I see how people look outside of themselves to understand themselves. And I see how the powers that be use that against the people. And I see how that is what they want, because if you do work on yourself, you become better, healthier. You're not productive as a worker bee. You become a queen bee. You become your own empowered source of being, of information, of all of it. Especially if you connect in your spiritual, like through your healing stuff, and you start connecting to your other aspects of self, where you start knowing more things because you connect to your other information or other knowledge about your other lives and stuff. So, but you can't do that if you're completely micro focused on, what you said to Johnny last week, and what his girlfriend thought about it or whatever. Like, the drama becomes all consuming to people. It's like that becomes what they think life is. And, and that's what life is, until you make a choice to make life different. And you have to be able to look and see, like, is this productive in my life? Is this really a good way to live life? Like, what is a better way to live? What do I want out of life? How do I want to live? Where do I want to live? What do I want to be? What do I want to pursue? Like, it all needs to come from within and then go out. But I mean, people get so caught up in thinking always about what other people think about them. And this has been on my mind so much too, just being around somebody where, going into the system at a young age, because it really makes me think, about, for a regular just person, teenager growing up, you've got just your parents. Some people in a lot of households only have one parent. And you, some cases, have two. Some, you may have a grandparent or two that's involved. So you have those different voices in your head telling you who you are, who to be, what to be, how to get there, all of that. So you have all of that. But then when you are taken from your home at a young age and you're put into where you have a lot of influences, a lot of different people, a lot of professional, a lot of licenses, a lot of these people telling you who you are, what you need to be, where you need to go, what you need to do, all telling you how to find yourself, which to me, my whole theory behind it is allowing someone the space to communicate with their own self inside, because their own self inside will start giving them the guidance they need. It's the outside that is the alternate influence, that it distracts you from finding your truth. And so, the more obstacles, the more obstacles. And so, I can really see how each of these different challenges, and, it's so crazy too, because even where somebody could think like, well, horrible, oh, I would never want that. I would never want to be a child and taken out of my home at a young age or whatever. But then you see these other people who are in these very toxic relationships with their parents. Like, we've been watching Breaking Bad, and just, Jesse's relationship with his parents. And, and I see a lot of people on TikTok talking about theirs. And so people who have relationships with, some of their family members or whatever, the relationships become so toxic and not healed. And then you have this other extreme where the people are like, want to just, it's because to me, this is something how I always saw things from a young age. I think I was in my 20s when I started seeing things this way, but it was, like your soul is inside of you and things happen in life. And so, especially as a small child coming in to a world that has no idea the significance of life and souls and the challenges and all of that stuff, that they're just like lost people. And so you come into that experience, then you let me think about how to explain this, because so you come into the experience and all, and all the different challenges that people have. I gotta think of what it was, how so when the man, I can see it so clearly. So when the see if I can just catch up and just see if I can get back into it. So when when you come in and you're born into the things, and then your challenges start, and so then it is you have to start figuring out who and what you are. And then you have obstacles, you have different people telling you have different challenges and different relationships. And so to me, so when the soul, to me, it seemed that as the soul was injured, it would begin to build walls up around itself. And that's why, I've even talked about, like, with some people's weight problems, that's really a soul that is injured. And I have heard women talking about that too in their weight loss journey. I had just heard some talking about this, is that it made so much difference when they healed, then, the weight was just coming off, because it is a protection, it's a barrier, it is something that people put around themselves to keep themselves safe. But see, then your soul is going to be pushing you and making you feel uncomfortable with that, because you don't want to just be safe and protected and hidden. You want to be bold and be out there and grow and witness yourself. And so your soul is going to push you in a state of discomfort for all of that. And so you're going to be uncomfortable in your own skin. And so, but people surround themselves, they build themselves like a fortress to protect themselves in life. And so to me, it seems like these people who want to cut people out of their lives, like, oh, you're toxic, I can't be around you ever again. Well, and I'm not talking about just like, somebody you work with or some friend or something. I'm talking about family ties. I'm talking about bloodlines. I'm talking about people that it's disruptive to a family when you start breaking it apart and making people choose sides and stuff. So I'm not talking about, just any old Joe Blow, like, you have someone who's toxic, you don't have to work things out with them. That's just for you to see how to set your own boundaries and to recognize, like, no, that's not going to work out. So those kinds of people, that is, that is helping you learn how to set your boundaries, to navigate your what you accept and what you won't accept. And so, but I'm talking about like with family ties and relationships that are really put into your life for you to grow and expand and change. And so even ones that where you leave it early, and these other ones, where they're just stuck, like all things have challenges. There's nothing, I mean, there's plenty of poor people who think, if I was just rich. Rich people have a lot of challenges too. Like there is no role to play that doesn't have challenges. Every single role that you play in the experience, in the movie, in the game, that they all have challenges. They have two sides to everything. There's a good side and a bad side. And then in life, you get to choose. Like, are you going to just focus on what's wrong? Or are you going to focus on what's right? And when you focus on what's right, then you can have gratitude. When you can recognize that there's a lot of people who have it worse and have some sort of perspective in your own life, that again gives you gratitude, appreciation. Like, man, I thought my life was hard, but damn, these people, these people who are taken at a young age. And, I mean, that's the whole thing with that meat plant too in Oklahoma. Like, I knew, and I don't even know if I said that on here, but I knew what was coming next is when they are sitting there saying that those meat packing place gets busted, having these 50 little kids working in the middle of the night. I knew what was going on immediately. It was like, they aren't working and meat packing. They are disposing of the leftovers. And they're being traumatized and warned. And that can be you just as easily. You do what you're told, or that could be you. And that is what was found now, is that it's full of, the human stuff. That kind of meat. It's probably being shipped out to McDonald's and Burger King presently. At Taco Bell too. I think Taco Bell, it has been come out. It's not even, I mean, they don't even put in, I think theirs is more like rats and bugs and stuff like that. Theirs is like worse than what people feed in dog food cans or something, is what I heard. Like, I don't know. I haven't eaten Taco Bell meat. I mean, I don't know, maybe in the 70s I did. Was Taco Bell even a thing back then? I don't know. Have I ever eaten Taco Bell meat? I would imagine probably when it very first came out. I don't know when it very first came out. But, all this stuff is so disgusting. I just, oh man, and I just can't believe there's still people going and eating it. It's just like, oh, it just turns my stomach, man. I have a hard time eating anything anymore. So the people, when they come and then they have the challenges of like their family and stuff. So then when they just cut all those people out, see, they're not believing in themselves. They're not believing in their own boundaries, their own, like there's something broken in there. And this is another thing too, is that so many people have to see that when you start becoming, and you start entering your family as a healed person. So, I mean, for me, I can only talk on mine, and mine is limited anyways because my memory, and then plus anybody you talk to in a family, you're going to get multiple different perspectives. So my perspective is in my own family thing is, I know for sure there was so much stuff I had to heal with, about people's attitudes towards me, and then having how people saw me. And, I had to, it was, like, this whole part of, however it is my kids see me. I don't know, some Lifetime movie. I guess I watched too many Lifetime movies when they were kids. Some Lifetime movie mom or something, like you can focus on the certain, it's all in what you focus on and what you see. And it's just so strange to you how they have these women, because I have all girls, and how they have these certain age of girls all about this, oh, women and power, and oh, fuck all men, and all of this whole thing. But then they're not really supportive of women. They don't see. They're not really supportive of anything or anyone. They're kind of just wounded animals, and they don't, because, for me, it is when I would have gone into other situations differently before. Like, I would have been more dramatic. I think, I would get my feelings hurt, and then I would need to talk to somebody, because I still get those triggers. If somebody hurts my feelings, it's still like, I want to go out and talk to, like it was my mother or my child. Like we all have somebody we know we can talk to about certain things, and we know what responses we'll get. So we know what people to go to for what things that we need. But, if somebody made me feel bad, then it would be like, go and want to talk to somebody that would tell you, no, you're okay, like going outside of yourself. So I had that was a problem. And then drama, you know, um, and that all formulates like from deep patterns from all the time when we're back young. But so when you get older, or when you get more healed and you start setting boundaries, like, so you heal the stuff so I don't get bothered. So to me, like this whole thing that's going on with the one daughter who wants to tell me that anything I talk about, I'm stomping all over her boundaries, because my opinions and what I see in the world is just my opinions. It's not real. It's my opinions, and I need to keep my opinions to myself, because she's living in the real world and she doesn't need to listen to my nonsense. So I'm going against her boundaries. And so, I mean, the old me would have, probably had a fit and, texted and, I don't even know, because it's so crazy when you let go of that person, when, and there's a process to it. And, even when I saw her, my old self, my more damaged self, I could see that, the pain, like that was one thing. Sometimes I can even just start crying for her, because she really lived in such pain. She was struggling. Everything was such a struggle, and it was hidden. Like people didn't realize how much pain that she was in. And when I started healing that stuff and really seeing her, it was like, oh my gosh, that is just, she struggled. So I gotta respect her. She went through a lot to get me to where I am now. But when you go through and you start healing that stuff, and so you start changing, the dynamics in your family start changing. And so you set boundaries. And yeah, you don't have to, somebody says something you don't like, you don't need to be like, hey, fuck you, I told you, blah blah blah, and go, you politely leave a conversation. You can, walk away. I mean, there's different ways to approach different scenarios that were to happen in families that are the triggers, what get people, going back and forth over, who's right and who's wrong, who's better, who's worse, who saw it right and who saw it wrong. It's all just this power, of not feeling understood, not feeling seen, not feeling connected. I mean, so many people don't feel connected in their whole family. But see, again, you go back to the DS, and that was a part of their plan. That was what they did, get the moms out of the house, start destabilizing the family from the inside. And then you can see what happened with the kids. And at the same time that they're doing that, they're coming in with their indoctrination. They're always changing the school books. We got to get the new ones. And now they're taking all the old ones out, because so-and-so just bought them all. So so-and-so now is going to be the only information. What they want people to know would be the information that is taught in schools. And that's, it's got to be absurd, because it's got to be where people start catching on. But when you change any dynamic, when you start being in a healthy position, and that's not a healthy position to scream and yell, use anger or rage or demanding and telling people they have to be different than themselves for you to be happy and all that stuff. That's not healthy. A healthy way is, I heard this word way back when I was in my 20s, and I could get it and I could understand it, but it was still very difficult to do. But now I get like it on another level, and it is assertive. It's being assertive, and assertive carries a certain vulnerability because you got to put yourself out there. And so there's a lot of discomfort to being assertive, but assertive is more productive than being aggressive or angry. And that is how a lot of people think that it's the best way to deal with someone else's attitude, or like my daughter with her thing or whatever. She thinks coming at me, that's the most productive way. She's setting her boundaries and that's it. And but to me, it is, if you yourself, I'm not just saying, because I can see it in society, I can see it in for a regular person in their own life. This is really getting tight. And I guess because I'm sitting in this jacked up way. This is very uncomfortable to sit on my bed, but I didn't want to be like, I don't know, I don't know. I try and be respectful of people. Not be like, I don't know. Everybody's going to perceive you the way they perceive you. So, anyways, let me think what I was saying. So, if, being more assertive. So, if you, you know, it's like standing up for yourself, because that's the vulnerable aspect. So, you stand up for yourself, but you're putting yourself out there, but you're just saying how you feel or whatever. And that is so it could be, man, there's so many different kind of ways that things can go down. So it's kind of difficult to just come up with a certain scenario. But there's like something that somebody oh man, I don't know, it kind of seems like for somebody that they should just look up like assertive and then think of the definition and then think of your own scenarios, your own way that you can be more assertive for yourself, so that you're not, because when we're just going at things and being angry and aggressive to try and make someone stop, all we're doing is creating more tension and more division in our families. And that's not what we want. And we don't have to agree with everyone in our family. We don't have to get along with everyone in our family. But we should be mature enough that we can gather and be near people that we don't agree with and still be able to remain, solid in our own stability and our own way of being without emotionally responding to every single thing somebody says. And so, assertive can be a lot of different things in a lot of different ways. It can be in some family dynamics. It's quite assertive just to get up from the dinner table and walk away when you're done, because that's what you want to do, and you don't want to follow the rules or sitting at the dinner table until everybody's done. I mean, it can be so many different things. There's so many different dynamics that people have in their families that become an aspect of tension and control and division and hypocrisy and anger and all sorts of stuff. And most of the things are all, based on our own perspective, our own perception of a situation. So, we're all perceiving things differently. I mean, you have one situation and 5 people getting their feelings hurt. Nobody's in there trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but everybody's feelings are hurt. So that is where we have to start stepping back and looking and seeing, okay, so the problem is our communication. The problem is how we treat each other and stuff. And so getting yourself put off into a little cage to keep yourself safe and contained, just your world becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. And don't we want our world to become more expansive and bigger and know more people, have more experiences? I mean, what is life about? Is life, I mean, when we think about like Anne Frank, and, she's one that just really stands out to me in my world, is because what she was able to take when life became smaller, she was able to make her life bigger, and when it got smaller. And so it is, all of us we shouldn't be wanting to just become smaller. And this is another thing too with that 15-minute cities. So there's a lot of people, talking about the 15-minute cities. And this was what got me. It was yesterday. I saw this lady and she was talking about this. She would, outside of her general area, with like a 15-minute, like her local store, she went outside of that one and went into another area and went to the grocery store. And so her video was about how awkward and uncomfortable that is, and how that's just the worst, to go into another area's store. You don't know where anything is, blah, blah, blah. And it just really, really hit me is, how they want to, how they want to make you small. And I mean, because remember, these are the people who created the cubicle. Like, the cubicle didn't exist until corporate America started. I don't think there was cubicles before that. Like, that was a big thing. And then they even started making the structures to, close you into your life. And, we'll make the desk even more productive. We'll have this and that, everything. Because every person should be able to choose how they want to live. You want to live small, you want to live big, you want to live however you want to live is your own choice. And so it shouldn't be up to these other people who want complete control over us. And so this girl saying that is like, it's almost like humanity is, it accepts to like turn parts of themselves off. I mean, that's the whole thing with handing a child, a baby, a device, is that parts of their mind uh, stop growing. Like, it becomes, and it is almost too like it's a drug, because it needs stimulation all the time. And that is the same thing with dopamine and serotonin, all of these stimulation or stimulants inside of your mind, the blood-brain barrier, remember, and how you get to those. And so then they, if you have the device is a stimulant, like, I'm sure there'll be something, oh, well, that stimulates the blah, blah, blah. And so the people become dependent, because you try taking a device away from a toddler who's had one stuck in their face for, I mean, they all of a sudden they don't even know what to do. Like, think about that from a consciousness perspective inside of an avatar. And suddenly the consciousness doesn't know what to do. And it starts misfiring. And it needs that constant stimulation of something flashing before its eyes and feeding into, whatever it is. It's a development. They're creating this. They're developing this. And so, that's all a part of that whole thing. But when their processes are developing, and it's the same thing as come out with so much with their, their sweet red pills, any kind of pill that will save you, or it doesn't save anything. It turns off the part of your body that would function normally. So then it makes you stop working. That's what all of their things do. And so, and then another thing, how people just want things so simple and so easy. And, and it comes with the territory of this stressful world that they created, because that is why they do that. It's all part of it. It all works together. It's all a finely woven fabric, what they have created. And it has, they've got a long time that they've been doing it. And so, man, I've got so many things going in my head. Because I know I haven't even finished explaining it, but it's just like so many things. And then so many of them are like so deep that it's hard to explain, like how, that's where it's kind of like, it's just inside somebody, like their mind is open, like they're in receiving, and the receiving, the information goes in, but you process it, and so then you will see and understand to the level of your understanding. But so it's a whole thing with information. And so, I can say some of this stuff, and some people will hear my words and see what I see, and then other people will hear my words and it will sound like a bunch of nonsense, and then everything in between. But so in the because in the development of self, you need to have, like, the purpose of life is to have these interactions with these people. I mean, it's like the soul contracts, although we're not sitting down in the sense of signing contracts like we are here, but it is like our word matters. Our word is it's written. Our word is the written word. When you speak the word as a soul, like when you think about like souls coming into this experience, like I think people just are so confused about this. And then on top of it, they get confused about because the flesh and blood and stuff. To me, you just got to keep on thinking that this is like a library full of movies or books or video games, whatever, makes sense to you, because all those things make sense to me. But you are there playing a role in that story. There's a storyline. And in the storyline, in the development of the book, the story, the movie, the video game, whatever, it is all consciousness. Universal consciousness creates a storyline, a story, an avenue or whatever. And then like you have like reptilians or whatever, the Dracos or whatever, who go around and interfere with, try and take over. And then you can see how it works, how they are able to infiltrate and take over and control. And so they have benefit for, who knows, eons of time. They get a benefit from using our energy, but it also is in the development of the energetic being, the conscious being, it is a part of their development. But every single person can hold themselves back through anything. And that is what I'm saying, is when you start cutting people out of your lives, you're holding yourself back because you're not trusting yourself that you can interact with this person and be safe. Why can't you be safe? Why can't you protect yourself? You don't have to protect yourself by beating somebody up or stabbing them or punching them or anything like that. It is, you stand up for yourself by being, adult, being stoic, it's like being an eagle. An eagle doesn't have to go prove that it is powerful. An eagle can just look at you and show you that it believes in itself. And so there's no reason when somebody, triggers you, that you lower yourself down to, don't take yourself off of the top of the building and go down onto the ground level. Stay, in observation. Stay in your true sense of self. Don't let other people but take the triggers and go into your time. And at that time, this is, a healthy boundary. If you become triggered in a situation, then you say, hey, I'm triggered. I need to go take some time. I don't want to be rude. I really do want to get along with everybody. But I got stuff, that I'm trying to work out for myself so I can be my true self, so I can be my best version of myself. And it doesn't matter what anybody else is, because the more you become your best self, the more that nobody else will have a choice. They'll have to, because your boundaries and your role modeling, you're showing them. So then they feel like, the next time that they're triggered, instead of screaming and yelling and slamming doors and, having a fit, then they can say, hey, I need to take a few minutes to myself and go try and figure out my emotions, because anybody who has lost their emotional, foundation, has lost their minds and, screaming out at people. No, you end up feeling like shit. You end up feeling like you have still, you end up feeling like you are the one out of control. And nobody likes to feel that way. So that's why you don't let other people push you out of who you are. And that is why you got to really recognize triggers for what they are and really understand on a spiritual level, we come in to experience that, to be triggered. So you running and hiding away from all of your experiences is essentially like committing suicide in life, because you're missing out on all of these opportunities for growth. And I mean, I would like somebody else to come and explain to me, though, how life makes more sense in any other way, because there's nobody who can. I mean, people just don't want to think that things make sense, that there's purpose, that it has all been part of the manipulation, because, you wouldn't have people trying to change their gender and get themselves locked into pharmaceuticals for the rest of eternity. And if they believed in a God and a purpose, and that there is no mistakes. The only way that people start believing that they're a mistake is that there can be mistakes, but there can't be mistakes. There's only experience. It's a journey. It's like you go and you start going out to cross a mountain, and you're walking out, one of those, those treks to understanding self or whatever, and you go out, all the different stuff that you're going to come across. There's no mistakes, you go through different rocks and different trees, different brush, all those different things. They aren't mistakes. They're part of the journey. They're part of the challenge. The part of what you had to go through, the story of how you got to where you are. So you have to go through all that story, which, this is another thing they keep showing me, because I told you I've been in a back and forth with my guides, like when I get in this moods, and I don't know, there's all this weird shit going on with this moon. Like, God, the moon stuff is so fucking weird. Yeah, there's so much weird stuff, and it's so weird how people still think like nothing's going on. It's like, oh my God, you are just totally cut off from all things that are real and natural. But what was that I was about to say? Damn it. I totally forgot what I was about to say. That's nothing new. God. And I will say something about the mascara. I swear to God, it's already making my lashes grow. This is just the mascara. I didn't put any of it, tried to do. Because at first, when I seen the recipe, the girl said it was an eye pencil. And so I thought, well, it must be like liquid eyeliner. So I tried that, and it was really goopy. And then when she was talking about making your lashes grow, then I was like, oh. So put in the rosemary oil and the castor oil and the charcoal, and then I put it inside the mascara thing, so it takes more off, so it's not so goopy, and it doesn't smudge so much. Even this morning when I got up, because I had put some on last night to see, how it would stay on, and it wasn't all black under my eyes even, and so it stays on good. Because at first I was like, well, maybe it is just really smudgy or something. Now I don't know. Maybe it's waterproof. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But I like it. I'm gonna keep using it. I think it definitely is as good as any other mascara I've ever used, and I think it's already making my lashes longer. So, anyways, back to the thing, because all of the thing goes together, and all of it has purpose. And so, when people start trying to cut people out of their lives, then you are cutting yourself off from all of these contracts and lessons and stuff, the things that we come in to experience with each other and learn from each other. But everything is going to happen the way it's going to happen. So it was always going to happen that way. So it doesn't matter. There's nothing you can do to change what's going to happen. It's always going to happen the same way. You are always going to go where people think, well, I don't know. Should I go this way? Should I go that way? Should I take this job? Should I take that job? Should I buy these shoes or those shoes? but you're always going to get those ones, you know. And I think it somewhat has to do with that is because the timeline you're on, the script you're on, the movie you're in, the video game you're playing. And so it's a set thing. And if you were going to choose something different, you would be indifferent. It would be different. Like, there would be more different. There's not like where people, man, it's so cold. My nose just keeps getting, it's not like snot running. It just keeps getting like wet or something. I don't know. It drives me crazy. And I think my nose is always red too. Anyways, so you were always going to do what you were going to do. So there isn't like where you can sit and stress, like, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? You know, that is all. So your higher self can witness itself, because then it grows from that. So when it's watching, so just even like if you say you go in and you cut everybody out of your family, like, I don't want anything to do with my family. They always hurt my feelings. Nobody supports me. They all judge me. Nobody accepts me for who I am and whatnot. And, you know, that's mostly where it always tends to kind of go, is people don't feel accepted, they feel judged, and all of that. But we carry those things from life after life after life. So when you're feeling those things from somebody, like you feel like your sister or whatever, it is other lives that you're trying to fix different things. So then you go through these scenarios because they bring up things so you can heal or whatever. So on some of the things, so your higher self can sit and witness itself, like what it does. Like it starts stressing, it starts, you know, I think a big one, I think that souls seem to me is this, because it seems like something that they're unaware of or something, is the reaction of anger and stuff. Like something happens to them and then they become angry and bitter and mean and start being the monster that they feared a monster, but then they become a monster. And I think that is something that is you know, like for a soul or the universe to witness that. So to understand, like, and those are all the different perspectives and stuff of like seeing of all of the different things that happen. And most bad things that happen, people always think, well, I would do this or I would do that, until the bad thing happens to them. And then they get a different view of it. It's easy to think what you would do when you're not in a situation. Is when you're in the situation is what it brings up. It shows you who you really are, who you really, you know, the challenges that you have of becoming your true self. And so you want to always, a soul always wants to be its true self. You know, that's why souls get so mad in families when they're not feeling like they're being accepted for themselves. And so then that is where, you know, you got to see those people don't accept themselves. It's not that they can't accept you, they can't accept themselves. So don't take on the burden of their problems. You know, you accept yourself. Show them how to accept yourself. Show them that you can love yourself. And, you know, and some people are pushed away, you know. I mean, there's people in families that are gay and then they get pushed away because, you know, this religious, zealous, you know, creation of destructuring the family. Don't accept this, don't accept that, when the whole thing is accepting everybody for who they are. And so that is, you know, all of their different things have been to destabilize the family. I just saw a guy, this one was pretty cool because he was really surprised about some of the stuff he was reading. And it was FBI files that were released, you know, because they released the CIA, the JFK, like all the files have been released. And so there's a lot of people who go in and read them and stuff. And so he was reading one about what the FBI does to us. And it's all this stuff, you know, all these things. You go and start reading the files Like all this stuff was done on purpose. They created all of this purposely to make people, I mean, as long as we're mindless, helpless, hopeless, and just think that we have to survive, we have to work, and then they just keep taking things from us and taking things from us. And, I just see, it's sad for some of these souls what they're willing to accept as what life is. Like, life can be so much more. I don't know if I know that kind of thing is just being in touch with my spiritual side and knowing about other lives and life experiences and stuff like that. But, I'm just confused by how some people are just so willing to accept nothing as being, life. But then I got to go back and think of like where when I was just working and working and working and, just going out on the weekends seemed like, the best thing in the whole wide world. And, but that is what people just begin to accept is like living their life becomes the small part and what they have to do to survive takes over. But in all reality, what you have to do to survive is a very small amount of your time. So then it's like when you have to really question what is going on here. Like, why am I putting all this time and effort in? And then, they always are like dangling things for you to chase so that you will feel like you are, and they sell you the whole, concept of success. Well, if you have this and this and this, so chase these things. Once you get here, then you're at the top of the game. But that's all just a game. It's all just pretend. You can never get to the top. And even when you get anywhere moving forward, you'll always pull the card, lose everything and go back to start because it's a game. And, the more that you can start, seeing like you're the live play actor or, the cosplay or whatever that is for the game. It's like when you go and you see like an Alice in Wonderland scenario and it has real people being the chess pieces. That's what we are. We're the chess pieces of this game. But it is so much more advanced than, because we're not mindless. Many people are mindless and being led or misled because they are easily distracted. But the more you pull into yourself again and, and pushing triggers and stuff away is not going to help you grow. And so, in a case where your family is completely, annihilated you out of the family, they've discarded you because, you're gay and they're all religious or whatever, then in those cases, that is your life path is to go out and really understand what is family. And along your path, you will have souls come into your life that are there to help you to understand that life path. Because, there's a whole thing behind that. There's a thing of being discarded by the people who you depend on and figuring out who you are. Then, and it can be a beautiful experience. One that somebody who is very controlled, like I knew a woman who was a nurse and she was, I think she was 30. I think we used to always say something like a 30-year-old virgin or something, which seemed extreme at the time. And that she was very controlled by her parents. Like she could not go out and be anything I mean, everything had to go through her parents. And they depended on her for everything. And so sometimes, and then that's a whole experience right there. That is the experience and, your souls know. Like I could go in and say, my perspective, but there's so many different things that you can look at and see. So that's where you can't start telling somebody their life path. They have to go in and listen because there's a lot going on there, And so we all have these different things to come in. Like I can definitely see the patterns from my present life, being an extension of the patterns from my previous life. Like I can see the my lessons just uh, they don't accumulate. They'll accumulate if you don't process them, but they will stack. Like what I had said, like there's certain things you come in here to work on, and you'll heal some things, and then it's like it unveils the next level. And that's where I get this video game concept. And then as you gather your tools, when you're healing, you gather tools. And so when the next obstacle comes, the next challenge, then you're more prepared. But it is like more things will continue to come when you have, these certain things that you're there to grow or learn from. And so, uh, you know, to me, it is, to me, you don't want to. See, this is where I feel like a hypocrite to say this because of, I do keep myself more contained. But to me, my containment is much more in regards of my awareness of what's happening in the world, like knowing we're being rained on with things that we are bad for us, knowing that there is danger out, like I know what's going on in the world. So it's, not, to me, it's not like someplace that it seems like a good place to just go out. But to me, you know, having interactions with people is productive to your growth and to just, and that is part of this whole problem. I think what they have done with the progressives is to create them with such division between the conservatives so that they never listen to what they say. They keep themselves in this little fearful place that these religious people are trying to take over. It's like and all of that stuff is going to be exposed too. The religion, like there's so much stuff that is going to be exposed. But as we are moving forward in our healing, because I know it's all about that. I know everything is for this expansion. It's for this evolution of mankind. And the evolution is of a spiritual nature, of a connection, of, being able to stand there and hearing something that bothers you and not overreacting and carrying your own things and processing for yourself and understanding for yourself, not needing to go out and get other people's opinions and, not, trying to be mad or angry at someone else's perspective and not feeling like you have to agree with it or you have to change or conform somehow. It is always going in, and that's why you need so much more time to yourself. And there's so many more people I've seen too that say, in order to really get down to your healing, you have to get away from the city, which to me, mine just worked out that way and it has been really productive. I've said that for a long time. But where other people have said now, it's just like impossible to heal in the city and to heal, like, to me, just being around a whole lot of other people's energy is intense. It will interfere in your own, and you won't know, what is you and what isn't you. And how do you process and heal when you don't even know who and what you are and what's yours and what's not yours? And so that is, even if you get triggered, like in a family scenario, and you feel like, you want to overreact, you want to scream and yell, you want to throw something, you want to just punch this person in the face, grab them by the hair and, slam their face in your knee. Like you can envision all those things, but it's the reacting, it's the acting them out that will haunt you, that would make you, you don't want to see that in yourself. And so then you got to think like, well, how in the world could this person get me to react so strongly? And then that's where you got to go in for the processing. And that is where it is very productive to go out into nature, get away from other people, the going on a walk, going someplace. And it may not be like, not everybody has safe places to go and walk and stuff. Not everybody has safe places to process, which to me is always like turn on some music and put in a nice soak in the tub and, you know, go and zone out and, you know, go into this little space in the tub, like I said, with the water. It will give you a lot more, transmission. So when you go into that kind of reflective mode, trying to understand yourself, you'll pick up on more information that will be processed. So you can, it can be really helpful. So you don't have to go out into a forest and walk around. Like, I don't want to walk in the forest. You know, I can just go outside in my yard more, or you know, I don't really need to go anywhere, you know, but people who are all piled up on each other, like in apartments and you know, all of that kind of thing, then, you know, trying to get create your space, like in a bathroom, and you know, to me, do the smells, like probably your safest thing is incense, because now it's all come out with all of this stuff with the smell things are hormone disrupting, cancer cause, like all of this shit. But so and then the lighting matters. The you think about your senses, so you want to just get yourself in a really comfortable zone and get the water a good temperature. And then, and I like to put stuff in the water to soak in, and have the smells and everything, and then just really go into that relaxation and try and quiet your mind. When you're replaying thoughts, you're replaying scenarios, you're replaying, oh, I wish I would have said that. Oh, I should have said that. Oh my God. That is where you're spinning out. That is where you want to quiet that. You want to release it. Just let it go. Just who fucking cares? Just tell it. Everything that tries to spin out in your brain, who cares? Just say that. Just who cares? Who cares? Just keep, you know, flicking it away. Who cares? Who cares? And then pretty soon, all of a sudden, you're going to see, like, it's very quiet in there. It's quiet. And then ask yourself, like, why? Why am I triggered? Ask yourself at any point. Set the intention before you go in to the tub. Set your intention. Please show me, you know, help me to see, to understand myself. What am I blocked? Why am I overreacting? Why am I triggered? And stuff like that. And so you set that intention. Then you go in and you go in the tub. You go through the process of quieting your mind, just telling everything to go away, you know, shut up, I'll deal with you later. I don't care what you think right now, you know, however you want to do it to quiet all of that chaos. And so let go of the chaos, and then allow the intention, allow it to be answered, and it can come in all sorts of different ways. And so be open and don't be frustrated. If nothing comes to you, don't be frustrated, because it will, I'm telling you, you could go after that, you could go turn on the TV and you turn into a certain channel and this show is on and it's playing out the scenario you just went through. And it will, something will be said, and all of a sudden you will just remember, and you'll be flooded with like memories of what it is that you are holding on to. And that is where, you know, I've said a lot of times, you know, a lot of people, they get to that and then they want to hide from that. They want to, don't want to feel those things. They want to, you know, that's the stuff they've kept contained. That's the stuff you need to release. That's what you get triggered by, is all this old garbage that you hold in. And so then somebody says something and it triggers you, and it's an opportunity to release that. But see, people in this whole structure of society get mad and angry at the other person. How dare you make me feel bad? It's like, you wouldn't feel bad if there wasn't something in there making you feel bad. So when that comes up to the surface, that is a hidden opportunity of growth. So, okay, honey, I'll come let you out. She gets so stiff. Anyways, you know, hopefully I finished saying some of this stuff. I know I'm just like all over the place. If I go out there and stuff keeps coming to me, I'll try and explain it more. But hopefully, you know, I'm making sense. But anyways, you know, everything in life really has a purpose. There's a reason. And the more you close yourself off, the more that you hold yourself back. So, you know, it is, be a warrior, believe in yourself, know that nobody can really hurt you, and you know that you can take care of yourself. You don't need to hide. You don't need to hide yourself. And it is scary to put yourself out there. It is scary to start claiming yourself. And, you know, all of us are weirdos. You know, we've all been through experiences of being called weird and stuff. So, you know, just accept that side of yourself. Accept that side of yourself that makes you special and unique. And don't, you know, if others can't see it, that's not your problem. And if others want to try and shut it down, that's their problem. That's not your problem either. But the things that you try and hide from yourself, like, you know, like something starts to come up and you want to run and drink a beer, you know, go down to the bar and get some shots and get in some drama with some people. Like, those are the distractions that you hide. So there's something in there that's so scary, you're hiding from it. And that is why you get so triggered and people can set you off. So you need to really get to the core of your issues so you can release them. Otherwise, you're a ticking time bomb. So if you want to live a healthy lifestyle and you want to feel good, you know, just, you know, start using those things, these assertive vulnerability, you know, speaking your truth, being authentic, setting your boundaries. If somebody hurts your feelings, say it, you know, and to me, that's going to become, you know, at a certain point, that's going to become very embarrassing for people. If every single time that somebody is talking to them and somebody's being triggered, at some point that person's going to have to see maybe they're kind of an asshole, you know. But if it's always different things and different people in different scenarios, take them as opportunities of growth and healing. So anyways, I best be going. Talk to you later. Bye.